Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday. Each and every week here at A Balanced Life, we have been bringing content that is resonant and relevant for each of us. However, as we get ready to spring into balance, let's discover what it means to get social again. Are you ready to get social? As we prepare to go out to teas, dinner en blancs, day parties, brunches, even getting ready for derbies, let me just tell you, I know that the challenge hasn't been easy. This pandemic has caused us to feel comfortable just being at home, getting ready for our teas and our lunches right here on Zoom or whatever platform works for you. But today, we want to talk to a few people who know what it means to get ourselves ready and together. Welcome, everyone, to A Balanced Life. Today, I'm bringing in as our panelists and our guests, we'll talk to Dr. Tierney, Dr. Derek Lewis Noble, MERINDA Watkins of HALLMAN Catering. We'll be talking to Fanchon Kennedy of Fanchon's Tea Room, and then also talking to Dr. Tierney and the HALLMANs as they show us what to wear when we get ready to go out and about. And of course, we had to bring a male perspective into our conversation with Dr. Derek Lewis Noble. What I like to do is bring in our contributors today just so that we can have a conversation about what it means to get ready to get out and about. Dr. Tierney, Charlotte Avery, Fanchon Kennedy, Kevin and Suzette HALLMAN, and Derek Lewis Coleman. Derek Lewis Noble. Welcome to Recording Life, everybody. Hey, everyone.
Hello, hello.
How's it going? Good to see you, Jackie Wilhelmina.
Oh, see, you can tell when you have a relationship with people when they talk about a middle name that's not yours and you just receive it. So I've been Jackie Wilhelmina for about 30 years. And it's just one of those things when you have good friends to come on board to join you in your journey. Yeah. For today, you guys, we're going to have some conversation about what it means to get ready to get out and about. And all I can say is everybody is taking it a little bit differently. What I like to do is start with Dr. Tierney. And because, Dr. Tierney, some of the things that you've discussed with us in the past about being able to get ready to be out and about and to be social, how do you find it works for people meeting them where they are in their comfort zone?
Oh, you said the CZ word. So here's the thing. As we come out of the hibernation that was winter and get ready for spring, it's a perfect time to actually get out of the hibernation that is your comfort zone. That comfort zone, those are the patterns, the habits, kind of what you said earlier. We kind of get into this slump of not really going anywhere. We're just on autopilot, and this is the perfect time to try something new. Meet new people, do new things, look beyond where you are now and start casting your gaze to the horizon to see what new opportunities are in bloom. I really, 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 when we're talking about the comfort zone, what I want everyone to remember is that nothing grows in the comfort zone. For your next level to bloom, you have to commit to springing out of your comfort zone.
Springing out of your comfort zone definitely looks different for a variety of people. Now, for Charlotte Avery, who is a mom, she's raising 7 kids, she has a husband. Charlotte, what does springing into balance and getting ready to come into bloom look like for you? And you look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you so much, as does everyone, by the way. So, for me, because we've been in winter and things like that, I am a sneakers, sweats kind of girl. And so now, with spring coming and everything, it's really about, not wearing sweats, not wearing sneakers, but really getting out with the kids and getting into the dirt of things, because my family, we really like to be out in the yard and playing and at the parks and all kinds of things. So just even navigating what it's going to be like being out with all 9 of us, at a park where other people are going to be, and just really doing some really fun things. And one thing that I like to do with my family is I bring everybody together and we do a bucket list. So, I'm excited about doing the bucket list for spring, and I'm excited about doing our bucket list for summer, so we can really navigate all the things that we really, really want to do.
Sounds exciting and inviting. I know that when you're working with your family and you're moving out and about, some people are inside consistently. They're working. They've had no break. And this pandemic really has gotten us into the space of thinking that it's okay to be online all the time. Whereas it's a good place to start. It's not the place where we want to end up as we begin to grow and move out into this season. I wanted to bring in Derek Lewis Noble before we get into talking to our guests to just share with us, Derek, if you will. You know, you work with leaders all the time.
Yeah.
And your male perspective really does matter in this space, because oftentimes men kind of just, so I'm not going to be stereotypical. I'm not going to say men just kind of sit around, play Steve Madden, this, that, and the other. But guys like to get out and about. There are men who are well traveled, who have plenty of passport stamps in their book. What does it mean for men to find the space and time to cut loose and get away?
It's difficult for men on several different levels. For me, it's difficult because, believe it or not, and I know you know this about me, but I am very much an introvert. So when the pandemic hit, I was super comfortable. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to go anywhere. That's cool. that worked for me. But many guys like to be out. I don't know if it's necessarily doing things like teas, but definitely getting out for sporting events, things of that nature. So for some people, it's been very difficult. For some people, you have to force yourself to be a bit more outgoing. I know for me, I love live music, but I also like being inside with my quiet time. So I have literally forced myself to be around people who will not allow me to get comfortable being inside all the time. So I always tell leaders, find those things that you're passionate about, find those things that you like to do, and find your tribe with whom you feel comfortable doing those things, and find people who will not allow you to be stagnant. There are a lot of different moving parts to this thing.
All righty, folks. So there you have it. Just a little bit of what we're going to talk about today, and the value and importance of being able to find your space, to get out of your comfort zone and allow yourself to just kind of spread your wings. I know that if you're like me, you have a couple of events already on your calendar. Now, I have at least 5 events that I am so looking forward to today. And when we come back after the break, I want to talk to Fanchon Kennedy. She's a tea whisperer, everybody. We'll be back in a moment on A Balanced Life right after the break. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest, Fanchon Kennedy, just blew me away. Let me just tell you, the moment that I met her and she shared with me her goal, her vision, her dream, and her aspiration, I knew that she was the perfect person for us to have this discussion with today. Tea has a very important way in which it allows us to calm ourselves down, settle into our space. Now, I know there are a lot of coffee drinkers out there, and we'll have a segment for you too. But today we're talking about teas and getting ready to just spring into what all there is for us to do. Everybody, welcome Fanchon Kennedy, Fanchon's Tea Room.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hello, how are you, gorgeous? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
So you bring so much light into every space that you are in. And I have over the years enjoyed talking to you and definitely have indulged in several of your tea blends. So for our audience who's getting to know you, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into becoming a tea whisperer?
Tea has been a big part of my life. It started as a teenager going through a lot and fighting a lot of depression, even at times not wanting to live. And I used to just grab me a cup of tea and a journal and sometimes worship music or whatever it was. And I would sit there, and it gave me a space to be quiet and to process my emotions. And I was introduced to loose leaf tea and all the ways you could blend up tea at 17 years old, when I walked into my first tea room and realized that tea was more than just the tea bags we receive that we buy from the store. And I remember just standing there in that space and said, I'm going to own my own tea line one day. And the purpose of Fancy K's Tea Time is to help uplift people, inspire people. I want people, we say it's a cup of tea a day takes the stress away. I want to encourage people to take 15 minutes of a day of stillness, sip your tea, have tea time, and reflect, think, whatever, and you'll be surprised how that relieves stress, helps you process your emotions, and just makes you, it refreshes you for what's to come and what's next. So that's why I'm in the tea business.
Now, I love that you said that because it gives me a little bit more of an insight about what you said, that tea is calming, and it allowed you to come out of that space of depression and not feeling up to your fancy self. Now, when you talk about blending teas and loose teas, now we've all been accustomed to just getting a little tea bag and throwing it in some hot water, but you literally blend loose tea. Can you tell us a little bit about your process, and then maybe what's one of your favorite blends, what's in it, and what does it do for us when we consume it?
Okay. Well, first of all, my favorite blend is whatever my newest blend is. I blend my tea according to what I'm feeling, and if you go to my website, you see my tea's name: confidence, balance. So based on what I feel like it brings to your life in that moment, and I encourage people to drink loose leaf tea. One, because a lot of times the tea that we receive in stores, it has been so mass produced and broken down to so many of the nutrients and the antioxidants that's in the tea is gone by the time it gets to the cup. And a lot of those teas are flavored down. And when you get loose leaf tea, you're really able to get, not only does it just calm you, but you're also able to get the nutrients that's in the tea, because loose leaf tea hasn't went through that process of just being broken down into just really tea dust, is what you get a lot in the stores. And so I blend tea. For example, when the pandemic started, one of the first things I did is blend together a tea that boosts your immunity system. And that's what's great about tea. You can start with tea. You could do herbs. You could do so much. It's like hundreds and thousands of herbs, and maybe not hundreds of thousands, but it's like so hundreds of herbs and spices and ways to blend up tea. And if you do your study, and as I do my studies, and I learned from other tea masters, I was able to blend up the perfect immunity tea to help boost your immunity system. And so that's what's great about loose leaf tea, and that's what's different about it. And also, you can, if you like I have a peppermint. I've been into peppermint tea lately, and it's been helping me a lot with some other things that I have going on. I didn't realize the benefits of peppermint. So then I take the peppermint and I put it with a flavor. Maybe like I make an orange peppermint tea. I love orange tea. So I put some peppermint and blend that together. So you could do all types of mixes and blends, and I do custom blends for people all the time. And I think I'm gonna stop because I could just go on and on about tea.
Oh no, I love that you're going on and on about tea, because you made a special blend for me. It's called a balance tea. And let me tell you, what I want to say that it was the mango passion tea.
Okay, I have about the balance tea is the pineapple black tea.
That's exactly, it's the pineapple black tea together. And let me tell you, it does balance. You literally, when you're drinking that tea and it's steeped just right and the temperature is prepared for you, you drink it. You don't need honey, agave, sugar. You need nothing. It is the perfect tea. And so, Fanchon, one of the things you said you studied about tea, I don't want people to think that you're just out there picking herbs and spices and in your garage or out there in the backyard, orange rinds. What was your study process for getting ready for tea? Because you mentioned black tea, and there's green tea, and there's oolong tea, and you have them all listed. I mean, you are truly a master tea blender.
Well, God blessed me that one of the top tea masters is right here in Dallas, and he agreed to mentor me. And so it started with him, and he began to mentor me. I would go and sit with him, and he has his own tea room here, and I would sit with him, and he would teach me about blends. And then he also had classes that I took to be certified. Then what I think the greatest lesson of tea, my greatest moment or realizing what tea really was and really grasping tea and blending tea is when he took me to a tea farm, and it was for a whole weekend. And I think we visited like 3 tea farms, and we were able to I was able to sit with other tea enthusiasts who are into this and learn, and to actually pick tea and go through the entire process of making. I think we made white tea and green tea, and black tea. I think those are 3 teas we made. So to actually go through the process of knowing what a tea leaf looked like, to walk through the fields and to learn to pick them, to go through the whole process. It's a crazy process. It's very picky. You have to be very picky, very into the details, the temperature, everything, and just walk through that process, and to understand that putting tea together is a science. I should have paid more attention in school. You know?
Who knew that you would go back to all of those science and chemistry lessons as you began to do this tea process? Yes. I want to thank you. And I know we're going to come back to you and bring you into our full conversation, but you have really illuminated for us the value of tea and the benefits of it. I have one final question for you. When you are planning for other individuals, and I know that you package tea, you ship tea, and you send tea. I've watched some of your events that you do. What are some of the perfect pairings for when you're online? What people are doing so many things with charcuterie boards, and they're having sandwich teas, and they're going to different events. Now I'm guilty. I will bring my little fancy tea pack with me when I go to the restaurant. That's just me. But what are some of the teas that you see people like to have that sort of go with everything as they're planning their events?
Normally I do a tea bar for people. Like I have an event coming up, let's say in Detroit. I'm not going to be there. So with the lady, she's like, okay, what teas do we want? So we'll usually give them 3 different teas. And I usually always pick one tea, which is our confidence tea. It's the oolong tea. It's smooth. It's gentle. Everybody's not into black teas or even green teas, because green teas can kind of be bitter at times. So I always pick a tea that I know in general everybody's going to like, even people who are not. And then you pick a tea that has flavor. Like my passion, our confidence tea is a passion fruit oolong tea. So it's fruity, it's sweet, and most people that are not avid tea drinkers, they're going for that sweetness. And so we'll pick it. I had an event in Atlanta, so I did a peach tea, because we was in Atlanta, right? So you just kind of think about the crowd. I kind of think about the crowd, who's going to be there, and then what is it going to be about? I'll bring my balanced tea to a wellness event for women, because it has maca powder in it, and that maca powder helps to balance your hormones. So it just depends on the event and what's happening. Peppermint tea is a great tea, believe it or not, for when it's hot outside. You want to do a hot tea. Who wants to have hot tea, when it's hot out? Well, peppermint tea, you can enjoy the tea, but it also like refreshes you. It doesn't make you feel hot and sweaty, So it depends on the event. So that's
well, thank you. I think that's important that we know. I want to bring in Charlotte and Dr. Tierney, because I know that they are tea drinkers, and I would love to hear from them. What tea flavors do you ladies enjoy?
I love pineapple tea. And actually, just the other day, I was juicing a pineapple, and then I took the rind and I boiled it, and oh my gosh, it was so amazing. So I think that's kind of like my new favorite one. I do love peppermint tea, and I love chamomile tea also, because chamomile tea is really good for my nerves when people are getting on my nerves.
That's very good.
I think that we all needed that good laugh, because there is always a tea that will be right handy just when you need, like, let me really sip some tea right now, because I cannot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Dr. Tierney.
So here's the thing. So I came prepared because someone said tea. So I said, let me get my good teacup out. But in listening to Fanchen, I'm like, oh, I need to step my tea game up. My tea game is limited to the Publix tea aisle, and it is not going to do it.
No.
But listening to, and I've had some loose leaf teas, but when you haven't been like brought into that and said, okay, here's how you do it, here's how you steep it, like you were saying, Dr. Jackie, the right temperature and the right, when we're just going for what's convenient, it's like, give me that chamomile tea, give me that green tea, sleepy time, it works, but listening to Fanchon talk about it and the passion and the science behind it, I was like, is there a such thing as a sommelier for tea? Because that's exactly the way that I was sitting here thinking about it. And as you were explaining it, I could almost taste, the pineapple and the I don't even know what oolong tastes like, but I felt like I was tasting it as you were, describing it. And so it just really kind of piqued my interest even more in tea. I absolutely love tea, but it made me say, okay, it's time. Maybe you need to talk to her to get her to send you some balanced tea, the oolong tea, the pineapple tea, the peach tea. They getting on my nerves tea, that is tea. I need all the teas, but yes, it's definitely something. I love what you said about the piece of drinking the tea. And allowing it to just soothe you, this can be an easy part of your self-care routine. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can just kind of sit, like you said, journal, drink your tea, and have a whole little moment, to yourself, and calm yourself from whatever is happening, in the day. So absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank
When
you.
you have your moment, I think that's where we find ourselves today as, we're preparing to get out and about and making decisions about how our levelness readiness looks. Are we really ready to get out and about? Do we feel like being social? I mean, I don't know. I think I'm ready and I'm preparing myself to get ready to be social. And so I know that I can do it online. I know that I can go to an event. And I want to thank you, ladies, for sharing how tea benefits you and how it really fits into the dynamic of your life. When we come back after the break, now that we've decided what we're going to drink, we're going to talk to Merinda Watkins of HALLMAN Catering, and she's going to share with us exactly how we can get prepared in order to do some easy, elegant entertaining when we come back after the break.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. I'm excited to invite now to share with us Merinda Watkins of HALLMAN Kitchen. Welcome, Merinda.
Good morning. Welcome. Great to see you.
It's good to see you as well. Can you tell us a little bit about HALLMAN Catering, what you do, and how you're helping people prepare for the spring?
Sure. We actually have gone to HALLMAN Kitchen. It's a family name. The original company started in 1959 with Reginald's grandmother. And we have restarted the company. We've been in business for almost 22 years now. And we do really, really large catering events. But we've also created an at-home line to help people entertain in their homes. And that's a little of what I'm going to show you today. I know you mentioned earlier that you have several events coming up. Everyone's social calendar may not be quite as full, but that doesn't mean that you can't entertain with your own family or with your friends or your girlfriends. And now I want to show you a couple of quick tips of how to entertain with ease and elegance, and also make sure you get to enjoy the event as well.
Sounds wonderful. Let's get into it.
Sure. So there are lots of ways as we come out of this pandemic to get social again, and it really depends on how comfortable you are. We love entertaining outside because that's one of the safest ways, even with the pandemic still going, to entertain, but it's whatever you're comfortable with. So I have a couple of things set up where you can do everything from a simple breakfast with friends, maybe a book club with some of your girlfriends, all the way down to appetizers before you guys go out to the movies. So really quick, if you were just doing a simple breakfast, we have fresh cranberry scones with fruit. You can do a platter as large as you need, but if it's just you and a few of your girlfriends, you can start with something this size. And what I love to tell people to do is remember that people eat with their eyes long before they actually taste anything. So make sure your presentation is there with your food. And I love to add fresh flowers. Now, the trick with adding flowers is you need to make sure they're edible flowers. Two things about edible flowers. One, for them to be edible, they can't be naturally poisonous to humans. And two, they need to be fresh, free of pesticides. So you can find them in the store. If you can't find them, I actually got these out of my own garden. We do an organic garden with no pesticides, so I grabbed them from out there. But it's also always safe to decorate with fruit or herbs because we know just by the nature of what they are that they're safe to use around food that people, humans will consume. Also, I did a quick beverage bar, which is really fun for breakfast. We have orange juice and champagne for mimosas. I always keep them separate because not everyone is a drinker. I also did a flavored water. I use cucumbers and lemons. You can do strawberries, berries. The pitchers, you can find them anywhere. This particular pitcher I grabbed at a Home Goods, very inexpensive. You can literally do everything you see right here for a quick breakfast in less than 30 minutes. Get yourself dressed and be ready when your guests get here. Do you have any questions, Jackie?
No, I think that what you're sharing with us is outstanding, and it creates. I think that what you're sharing is outstanding. It creates for our guests a clean and clear picture of how to plan and prepare, whether they're putting their own garden together, if they're shopping at a local grocery store in order to select the items that you're speaking of. But then also you're talking to us about the value and the benefit of what you're using. I love cucumber water with a little splash of lime. I think that it's a great way to have a refresher in the spring or in the summer.
It is. It definitely is. And the point that I want to really emphasize about easy, elegant entertaining is it shouldn't stress you out. Don't put anything on the menu that requires you preparing it 5 minutes before the guests walk in the door. I always like to pick out things that I can do the day before, do in the morning, and that hour before my guest arrives, the only thing I may need to do is pull the orange juice or the champagne out of the refrigerator. I don't want to be frazzled, and I don't want to be so exhausted from preparing that I don't actually have a chance to enjoy what it is that we're about to do, whether it's a book club, whether we're just sitting out on the patio and catching up because we've spent so much time apart. You'll also see that I did a really, really quick arrangement, like literally anyone can do this. If you're planning on entertaining later in the day, especially if people are just coming over to hang out, another great dish that you can do very quickly is hummus. This is a roasted red pepper hummus with some pita chips and fresh cucumbers. It's very easy to prepare. And again, adjust your serving size by the number of people who are coming over. And you can still use your flavored water to add with that.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today. You have given us some outstanding tips and tools that we can take with us into this spring season as we prepare ourselves to get ready. Everybody, when we come back after the break, we will hear from Suzette and Kevin HALLMAN as we prepare ourselves to get ready for spring.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Merinda, oh my goodness, that demonstration, the food that you've shown us, just making certain that we are prepared, whether we're going to have individuals online or have individuals at home. You've given us just the opportunity that we need to say, just maybe we're ready to get out and about and start living our lives again in this pandemic time. When we come back, we're going to talk about now, what do you wear? What do you wear? Oh my goodness. Sometimes maybe let's see, which one do we do first? Do we decide whether or not we have an outfit and say, this outfit will look good at an event? Do we find a hat and say, let me figure out where I can go? Well, when we come back, we're going to talk to Kevin and Suzette HALLMAN, and we're going to talk to Dr. Derek Lewis Noble. We want to sit and discover, how do we dress our head? What does that look like? Everybody, Kevin and Susan HALLMAN. Hey guys,
how you doing?
I am so good. It is really nice to see you all again. How are things going?
Oh, well, it's good. We had an event yesterday and we came in very late in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we were in Florida 2 weeks ago for another event. So we have been out and about, as you have mentioned, that everyone is ready to go out and travel.
Oh, I'm excited for people. Yes. Now, let me ask you this. When you're at your events and you're showing your hats, and, I'm going to ask you this again because I love hearing the process about you guys making hats and collaborating together. And I know a couple of weeks ago, people saw you as a couple talking about how you do business together. Now, when it comes to design and creativity, who does what?
Oh, both of us work together as a team, but we both have our different sections of what we do. Kevin would do the blocking and the wiring, and I would do the sewing and the dyeing. So he has his department, which is the men's, and I will have the women's department, which is mine.
Oh, so we're going to talk to Kevin for a few minutes then. So Kevin, when you're talking about looking at hats for men, how do you decide what shape of hat is best for a man? What is your process for fitting a gentleman for a hat and saying this is the one they should secure?
Well, when I talk to my particular men client and try to find out what they really want to wear, I have to get a good feel of their personality. I have to basically see, people have different face shape sizes in their face, height, color, skin complexion. So I kind of sit down and I kind of talk to them in a consultation to find out those particular angles about it. And then I just get a hat and I show them a couple of designs and we go from there.
I think that's intriguing for me because we see guys all the time. And I think the first thing a woman will say, wow, that hat looks really good on him, or that's a very well-dressed man. How important is the compliment when gentlemen are picking a hat? Is that something that they're looking for to make some decision about they made a good choice or selection?
Yes. It used to be a long time ago that a lot of men used to wear a lot of hats. And nowadays it's coming back. And sometimes I have like younger guys who've never really worn too many hats, used to wear caps all the time. So when I show them something that's a nice hat that looks really good on them, to compliment them and particularly their girlfriend or maybe their young man is married or whatever, it makes them feel really good. And it gives them it gives them a good confidence and self-esteem. A good hat is like good shoes. First thing a woman sees is what's on a man's head and what's on his feet.
Now, that is an excellent observation. I want to bring in Dr. Derek Lewis Noble for a second because, you mentioned how hats are selected. And Derek, he mentioned about men's self-confidence. And I know men don't need the accolades. Oh, so there he dons his hat for us, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Derek Lewis Noble.
That's just one. That's just one.
We're going to get hat changes throughout the episode today, which will be very nice to see. And so the hat that you just put on, did it give you a different feel? It definitely changed your look.
Totally. In fact, I got this one in Harlem about 5 years ago. I was walking down the street. I just left Marcus Samuelson's restaurant and I saw it in the window and fell in love. I have been into fedoras since I was a kid. And I got it from my father Because whenever my dad would dress up, my dad was a deacon. Whenever my dad would dress up for church, he would put on the trench coat, and he would always put on a hat that matched his coat. So he had a blue one, a black one, and a brown one, and he just went through those three. And I always liked the way he looked in it. And I always noticed that he was getting compliments every time he had the hat on. So I'm like, okay, if dad gets compliments when he wears the hat, I'm going to do the same. So I've always been more into fedoras than baseball caps anyway. Even when I was a teenager, I would put a fedora on in a second and still do. So, yeah.
Now, Kevin, you and Derek are talking about this fedora. Is that the most popular style of hat for gentlemen?
Yes, the fedora is really your standard hat, and the particular style of fedora can fit a lot of different people's face and shape and height too, as opposed to other hats. So more people are more common wearing a fedora hat than they are with a pork pie hat or maybe a bigger brim hat as per se. So yeah, it does make a difference. A lot of people do really like wearing fedoras. It's very popular.
I saw Derek just did a hat change for us. So the hat that you have on now, that's slightly business and slightly weekend?
Yeah. This one it's actually, for me, it's a bit more weekend than business because it's a lighter hat than the other one was. So the texture is a little bit lighter, so it breathes a little bit better. I have just gotten into, well, not just, probably over the last 2 or 3 years, I've gotten into wearing fedoras with very, very casual clothing. When I was really casual, I would stick on a baseball cap or like my go-to LA Dodgers cap. I've just gotten to the point where I realize that fedoras work well with casual looks as well. So that gives me more of an excuse to wear these things.
Derek mentioned the feel of the hat was lighter, and I noticed when he flipped it over, it had like a satin lining on the inside, and the felt hats are a little bit thicker. When should men switch hat textures for varying times of year? Now we're getting ready to get out in the spring, and fedoras also come in a bamboo straw-like style as well.
Yes, fedoras come in many different materials. Especially for spring and summer, you can go with more of your Panama straws, your Shantung straws. Even some of what I'm wearing is considered to be a multi-braided straw. And there's something you can wear too. It's more flexible, a little bit more pliable, and sometimes you have to worry about being crushed. So yeah, when you in spring and summer, you really want to wear some of those hats, depending on where you stay at too. Because if you're in Florida, Louisiana, in the South, it's very hot down there and very humid, so you do want to wear a hat that you can breathe.
Yeah.
Now that's very interesting. Suzette, I have a question for you when you talk about hats being able to breathe. Now, we as women, we will drop a hat in a second if it looks too heavy, it starts to get too hot, and then we move to the style of hat that I'm wearing today, the fascinator. So when should women change up their style of hat, and does it go with the season or with the clothing?
It goes with the season, the clothing, and also the event that you're going to. I noticed on the show, the type of material that the women on the show are now wearing. The one that looked...
Charlotte and Dr. Tierney.
Yes.
Come on in. Let's see what you're wearing.
Yes. One is called a sisal, which is very light and very breathable. Now, most women don't wear a sisal because it's more for the derby, La Blanc, a dinner, like you said, garden parties and weddings. Then you have one of the ladies who were wearing a cinema fascinator. That could be worn to an event like derby, garden party, or a jazz event. You may never, depending on your taste and what you want to wear. Yeah. Now, the hat that my husband is wearing, the fabric, I find that most women are wearing those, which is heavy and it makes their hair sweat. So it's best to have a lighter straw in the spring, and there's different type of straw which can look meshy, which is light, and then there's a sisal, which is light. Then there's the Panama, but not very many women wear Panamas. They're just like the basic look, which is its multi-blended straws.
Very nice. I have a hat from you. It's my purple hat, and I know that at some point we will show it when we do our breaks. And one of the things that you mentioned to me when I got the hat, you said, "Are you from here, which at the time we were in New Orleans at Essence. And I mentioned that I had to bring it back. Now, the hat that I have from you is a soft straw and it's packable. I think that's one of the most favorite things that I love about that hat is that I can squish it and then it pops back up and it's got a little height to it. Why is it important? You know, we travel, we go to events. How important is it for us not to have to also have a hat box when we travel?
Because a hat box, you can have a hat box. It depends on where you're traveling. I would suggest sometimes you can stuff your hat depending on the shape and the quality of the hardness of the hat in the middle of your suitcase. You can stuff it, then put your clothes around it, then put a cardboard on top and a cardboard down the bottom. Now, because of COVID and the way everyone's traveling, everyone wants to carry less. So when we do shows, we always ask where you're traveling from. Most of our customers are from the California, down south, or from New York, etc. when we do these events. So I always tell them how to pack so they're comfortable purchasing the hats to travel back to where they come from.
Thank you for sharing that information. When we come back after the break, I want to bring the ladies in and talk a little bit about hat wearing and where we're going in this season. We'll be back in a moment after the break.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
Welcome back, everyone, to A Balanced Life. Let's bring in Fanchon, Dr. Tierney, Charlotte Avery, and the HALLMANs for just a moment. I want to talk for a moment, ladies, about this hat wearing thing because you guys are fancy today. And, you know, a lot of ladies now are in that space where we put on hats, not a ball cap, but we like to look fashionable because we've been in this pandemic now for almost 3 years and we weren't getting out and about, but we love to throw on a very nice hat and a nice, cute outfit. So, Charlotte, what kind of hats are you wearing as you get out and about this spring?
So the hat that I'm wearing right now is actually one of my most favorite hats. I have a really small head. And so this is like one of the first hats that I ever bought that like fit my head practically perfectly. And, you know, I like to like tilt my hat to the side, but also I like the broad rim hats, also the sun hats. I love floppy hats too. Those are my go-to hats when I'm at the beach or going to the swimming pool. I have one that says do not disturb. But one thing that I love about those hats is I can roll them up and just put them in my suitcase. And I can just know that when I unroll it and unpack my things, it's still going to look amazing and make me feel amazing too.
Yeah. Wonderful. So Fanchon, when you're doing events, you dress the part or do you just bring your tea set?
No, I dress the part. I everything goes with the event, the tea, everything. And this is one of the hats. I love hats that, like, the big hats look great on me. Sometimes small hats. My head is big. Hers is small. The ladies put hers is small. Mine is big. So a lot of times it's hard to find hats that fit my head. But most of the time I find that the big hats like this look really nice on me. And I really love the straw hats. I'm not a fashion person, y'all. So I don't know I think that's the straw hat. But I love that because to me they're flexible. So I always look the part. Wherever I'm going, I think about it. Today this is what I will wear to maybe a tea. Somebody inviting me to bring my tea bar to their tea. I will wear something like this to the tea. And always the hat or a fascinator. I have a white fascinator that I really love. And this is like one of my favorite hats too, because it's really hard for me to find hats that really look nice on my head.
Well, the hat looks really good on you. Dr. Tierney, what are you wearing as you step out and about this spring?
Oh, goodness. So as we're talking about hats, my mom and I, when I was younger, we would have this thing where we would go into Macy's department store, and, you know, they had the hat section with all of the, what I call the church lady hats. And so my mom would just pick up the biggest, floppiest, the little bitty hats. And she was just like, put that on your head, put that on your head. And what we quickly discovered was that I had a hat face. And so I didn't, you know, really get it at the time, but now it's one of my things that I love to go to. So I'll wear a dainty little fascinator. I will put on a fedora. I have cowboy hats. I have the straw hats. And it's just like what we were just saying, that it just depends on where I'm going, what I feel like. If I'm feeling sassy, today I was summoning the Kentucky Derby. So I was feeling really dainty, very ladylike. And so I put on my fascinator, you know. And so it just depends on where I'm going, how sassy or fancy or dainty or demure, you know, I'm feeling. And I will pull out any number of hats, or even a baseball cap. I will throw on a baseball cap in a hot second too, you know. So this season, you might catch me in a cowboy hat, you might catch me in a fascinator, or you might catch me in a fedora. Yeah, all of them. I'm wearing all of them.
Sounds wonderful. I love everything that we have heard today. And as you can tell on this episode of Living a Balanced Life, we're in that space where we're ready to get out and about. I want to thank our guests for being with us today and giving us an opportunity to really learn not only what we need to do to prepare ourselves for getting out and about, but what we will eat, who we will go around, what we will wear, and just a little bit about what we shall drink. I mean, honestly, it's tea season, at least for me. And so I hope that you have enjoyed today's episode of A Balanced Life. And as you begin to spring into this season, that you'll begin to bloom and to blossom and allow yourself to really shine. I want to thank our guests for joining us today. As you can see, it's very important to establish when you're ready to get out and what you want to do when you go out. We've learned a lot today about how to prepare an easy, elegant opportunity, whether it's in your home or if you're out visiting with friends. We've learned exactly how to fit your hat face, if you will, so that when you are preparing to don yourself in your attire to go out this spring, you are prepared and ready. And then, of course, we have seen and really have a great understanding of how tea can have a calming and lasting effect. Thank you, everybody, for watching today's episode here at A Balanced Life.